Hey guys, hopefully it's recording. Hopefully my mic's on. So if you guys are watching this, obviously it's because you purchased one of the art kits. So this one's going to be the pansies. I am excited to do this. This is like the perfect springtime watercolor piece to do. Like it just seems like so much fun. So in your art kit, it should include the paint needed for this specific piece. It'll have a paper palette, which is a piece of paper palette looks like this. You're going to be using the shiny side, okay, not the matte side. It should include the brush or brushes needed for this piece, one page that has the actual like outline on there, and then it'll have an extra sheet that has nothing on it, so you can use it for just like a scratch piece to practice on if you want to practice on that before doing it on the actual painting. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then there should be a basics to watercolor sheet inside your packet as well. And then obviously the link to the tutorial, short little bio. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm super excited. So these ones I kind of just want to wing it and see what happens. So hopefully they turn out really good. I'm excited to do this though because it's like, I don't know, I'm just getting the itch to get going. So first thing, you might also need a paper towel, just like a piece of paper towel. I recommend like two things of water. One is for your clean water, which you don't clean your brush in. It's just like the clearest water. Like if you ever just have to put, water down. And then you'll need a jar to actually clean the paint off your brush. I just use a vase, or mason jars work great too. And then you'll need your brush. And then we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see. So when I make these videos, I also like, this is just, I create them in the moment. So when I paint these, I'm also keeping track of like the colors I'm using and things like that. So that way I can actually put the kits together for you guys. So periodically you'll see me like stop and write real quick. So I like to write down the colors that I'm using while I make it. It just makes it easier because I don't want to forget and then like go to put the kits together and like forget a color. That would be horrible. So yeah. So when you do watercolor, you work light to dark, meaning you're going to do the lightest colors possible before you do the darkest. So like, for example, like here's my little scratch paper. I'm just going to pull some color right here off my palette. And I guess I can make it so you guys can see that. Does it make more sense? That right there. Put that over. Okay. There we go. That way you guys can see it. Oop. Okay, so the more water you add, oh my Lanta, the more water you add to your like pigment, your paint, the lighter it will be. So as you can see, I added a lot of water to that color, so it lightened it up quite a bit. The more paint or pigment you add, the darker the value will be. So the more you add, the darker it gets. So, in other words, when you're starting with watercolors, you're doing light to dark. Whoops. So the lightest colors to the darkest values. Lightest value to darkest value. So hopefully that kind of helps as far as getting started with this. Let me move that kind of kitty corner here out of the way. Just kind of want to show you guys that little helpful tip. So the lighter, you want to start with the lightest as possible because once you go to a darker color, it can be difficult to undo that, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, you can also vacuum up paint, meaning like if you put a color down and you didn't mean to, let me get that a little darker. You put it down and you're like, oh no, I did not mean to do that. You can take clean your brush the best you can, dry it off really, really well, and it then becomes a vacuum to pull some of the color back up. So it will help kind of remove what you put down if it was like maybe too dark of an area and you didn't want it to be that dark. You can kind of just go back through and pull some of that color back out. So it's not the end of the world. Don't panic. if you make a little mistake, you can, for the most part, try to fix it quickly. So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and wing it, and I should have grabbed another palette to use because I didn't clean that one off, actually. Let me just... I love watercolor. You can seriously, like... Where's my water? It's just so user-friendly. I mean, supposedly it's the hardest medium, but I don't really think so. I mean, as long as you understand the concepts and the rules to using watercolor, it's really not that difficult. But you have to be willing to let the paint do what it's going to do with watercolor because it's not always predictable. You're working with water. So let me grab another paper towel here. All right. So you can also, if you have like pansies in your own garden, or if you just have some, like a plant lying around, and you want to like paint these in with those colors, you can absolutely do that. You do not have to paint this exactly how I paint it, or you know, what we're using or doing. You can use any colors that you want, really, if you have your own paints. Some people just like to have the sketch there and they want to be able to do their own thing. You can absolutely do that. So I'm trying to decide which one I want to start with first. Maybe we'll work on the bottom one first. So we're going to start with the lightest color, and I think I'm going to do, I don't know, I kind of want to do magenta, yellow, oranges on this one as far as like maybe a color story. So I do have this really pretty opus pink, but I think I want to use this magenta rose. I think that's what this one's called. Yes, magenta rose. So I use two different companies of paint that like I'm absolutely obsessed with. The first one is Da Vinci. Their stuff is so pigmented. It lasts forever. This tube's probably gonna last me a freaking lifetime. This one, and then I also have some of the Milan Art watercolor, and I love their watercolor too. I love the colors that they created. They have different sets, so you could do, you know, if you wanted certain color combinations that you're just more drawn to, they have that as an option too. But they do, so does Da Vinci. Like, they also have different sets put together. So I can put a link below for those. I'll try to remember that. And then I also wanted to start including the link for the Da Vinci in the art kits because I use this brand the most. So I figured, why not kind of give credit where credit's due, the ones I use the most. So let's see. I guess we can start with the magenta. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a tiny bit on my brush here and add as much water as I can to keep it very, very light in value. So that is pretty light. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then I guess I will just kind of start at the top. And we might be working wet on wet to start, which means we're going to add the wet paint or water on the piece and add color into it while it's wet. So that's working wet on wet. I'm going to go ahead and do this section. This makes me want to go buy some pansies so that I can like just paint some from life. All right, let's see. Let's kind of do along the edge on this one. Maybe kind of drag some of that in. Just do the border. Drag a little bit down. This side. Oh, I also forgot to mention, sorry guys, you can tape this paper down. If you have like painter's tape, you can tape your edges or even just like the sides. So that way if the paper buckles a little bit, like some people panic, like don't panic, it's okay. Watercolor, water paper does that. Like sometimes it buckles. So Don't stress. If it moves a little bit, it's okay. But because this particular one touches top and bottom, I didn't put the tape on there. But you can tape it down if you want to. Some people like to. Just depends on the size that I'm working on too, sometimes. Okay, so these, just kind of make sure they're still kind of wet so it doesn't dry too quickly. You can always go in and add some clean water from your second jar that has just clean water, so you're not like re-adding more pigment. And then each time we add paint, we're going to make it darker. So I'm just going to kind of, that is significantly darker. So I'm going to add more water. There we go. To make it so it's not quite so heavy. And then I think I'm just going to kind of use just the tip of the brush and kind of make sweeping motions. So if you, this is a good time to practice on that second sheet, just lightly with just the tip of the brush making lines. Okay, so that's why I put the practice sheet in there, because I know sometimes for me, I'm like, yeah, let me get a feel of how that's going to turn out before I just start doing it. So we're going to do some motions just to kind of give this bottom petal a little bit of shape, and just dropping in some of that color while it's still wet, because we're doing wet on wet. It allows it to kind of blend, if that makes sense. And I think I'm going to kind of darken it up a little bit along the edge right there. Just a little bit. Okay, but see how it gives you those lines when you just sweep it down? And then I'm going to go in with this side. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do sweeping motions with just the tip of it. And then on the outside of it, or the outer edge, I'm going to darken that up. Oh, shoes are so cute. It's like we just started and I'm already like, oh, so excited. Okay. And then I think on the lower one down here, I really kind of want to darken up the edge of this one. Just a little bit to start. I feel like it's going to give it a little bit more depth. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side around the edge. Okay, and I'm just making little flicky motions with just the tip of the brush toward like the center of the flower, just kind of going with like the shape of it. And then I think I want to go ahead and start adding some yellow. I'm going to do my best to avoid right here these two little spots, like the upside down V. The whitest white of your paper is always going to be the brightest white when you're painting. So just to give you a little heads up, if there's areas that you want to be completely white, meaning it is the brightest area on your subject, on your painting, don't paint over it. We have options to make things easier on yourself. If you like want to avoid that area altogether, so it doesn't take away your whites on accident. We have drawing gum that you can use. So I have 3 different options because I like to use the Molotow pen, which is this one, on like my paintings. But you just kind of like tap the edge of it, it comes out, and you can kind of, like if I were to paint some area like right here and then let it dry and then go back and put the Frisket or the masking, what is this called? Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Drawing gum. masking liquid, whatever, to like do fake writing or semic writing on there. Let it dry. It only takes like 5 minutes, but you can paint over that. And then when that's dry, you can rub it away and you'll see like the under layers. So, but yeah, if you like, just for an example, if you wanted to, you could use this in the 2 little spots right there where it has to stay white. And when you're done painting, you just rub it off and it leaves you with the white of the paper. So yeah, this stuff comes in handy, worth having. And like I said, I use these in different ways. Like this one has the fine line tip, so it's almost like a needle. So if you want like really fine line details, that's why I have that one. This one is more used for like if you have a paintbrush and you wanted to like dip the brush in there to have a little more control as to where it goes. And you know, if you have a specific area, you really need to make sure it's refined. And then this one's just for my mark making. Like that's the only reason I use this. And I'm not sponsored by any of that. I just wanted to share those as like little tips. Like if you're actually worried about accidentally like ruining a white area that you don't want to get ruined. So here's that. Okay, let's get back to this. I think I'm going to, I might do some of the yellow. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and avoid. Okay, and another tip, wherever you put water, that is where your watercolor is going to go. It won't go outside of that. So here's an example. Let me go ahead and pull some, what kind of yellow do I want? I think I'm going to use the cad yellow. I like the cad. But I'm going to water that down heavily because remember, light to dark. Because once you go dark, you can't like, it's really hard to come back from that. You can't really come back from that. Okay, so this is like almost a little too yellow. I kind of want to add some of that magenta into it to make kind of like an orangey. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's good. Okay, it almost looks like a brown. Let's keep adding a little bit yellow. There we go. I think I'm going to do that color. So see how when I drop in that yellow and I only put water in that center, that's where it stays. So if you want it to, you can always spread it out like this. But I just want to make sure I let you guys know that too. Like wherever you put that water, it's going to stay in that area until you move it or if you move it around. So it's pretty neat. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring that down here. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. And I don't think I'm going to, well, I might take it all the way down because I know I put that magenta down on the bottom. Oh, actually, I like that. Okay, I'm doing it. I'm invested. I already did it. All right, so I think I'm also going to put on this side. Oh my gosh, I'm really liking how that's looking. Oh my gosh, so pretty. I love it. Okay, and then I think I'm going to make it a little more orange, meaning I'm going to add a little bit more magenta to that color. Hopefully you guys can see me mixing this. So this is more on the pink side, but I kind of want to do some more flicking motions up here just to kind of tie in that color like on the bottom going up. So it kind of keeps the color story going, I guess is a good way to put it. It doesn't completely get lost. And then I kind of want to make that a little darker on the back pedal. Whoa, holy moly, that was a lot. Okay, I didn't mean like that dark. Let me clean my brush real quick and get some more of that cad yellow. There we go, that's pretty. It's actually perfect. All right, I'm gonna kind of touch my paper towel there so it doesn't have too much on there. But I think I just want to go ahead and add some darker. And I am kind of using just the tip right here on this edge. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then maybe kind of outline, go up a little bit. But we want to do those outward flicking motions with just the very tip. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. I love this. I don't know why, but it reminds me of like cotton candy or something. I don't know, but I'm really liking it. Okay. And then I'm going to water that down a little bit more for going back in and doing this side. I just feel like it needs a little bit more. Since it's still kind of wet, it's going to be kind of blending together there. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. So cute. I love it. What do you guys think? Are you loving it? I can't wait to see how yours turns out. So you guys definitely have to tag me on social media once you are done with yours. I would love to see it because no piece is ever going to be the same. Like, it's just not. They will never be the same. So I have to see what you guys create because it's so fun. Like, it's one of my favorite parts about creating is seeing how like everyone's turns out completely different. They will never be the same. Okay, so I kind of want to brighten up the yellowish color. So I'm going to add more CAD to this. Oh, that is pretty. Oh, yeah. I like that. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more water just so it's not so pigmented, but oh, even that is still like crazy. Wow. Water that down a little bit more. Okay, I really love that color. That is really pretty. I feel like it gives it a lot of life. And I have a lot on my brush. There we go. If you feel like you have too much paint, too much water on there, you can just kind of flick, like barely touch your watercolor, or oh my gosh, your paper towel, and it will kind of help wipe it off. So I'm just going to do kind of like this edge right here. And I'm just using the very, very tip to do this right now. I kind of want a little bit right here. Okay. And I'm really liking this color. Oh my gosh, it is very pretty. So I'm going to do just some outward flicking motions, either from the center out or out in. I can't think of the word. But I just want to use the tip of the brush. And so that way you can get kind of like those fine lines. And just kind of drag that color out. Goodness, it is so pretty. That is such a pretty color. But I really want this to glow in a sense from like the inside out. So having this yellow as the base, I think is perfect because when that dries, we can go on top and add some more like juicier, more jewel toned colors. So same with this side. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this side too. And I'm trying to avoid that edge, that line between the petals, because if they accidentally touch, it will blend with the other petal. So not that that's always a bad thing. You can always vacuum it up. Like I said, there's always ways to go in and fix it. And I'm still just using the very tip of the brush on this one. And I'm not going to the very, very edge, just kind of barely going into where we put the magenta. And see that beautiful orange that it creates? Magenta and yellow are just some of my absolute favorites. They blend, or just the colors themselves work so well together. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'll try to avoid that edge. Oh my gosh, these are so pretty. Now if I can get myself to not use the exact same color combo on the other two. That is the trick, huh? Okay, and toward the center on this one, I'm going to make it just a tad darker. So I'm not going to bring it like all the way out, but just kind of keep it right here. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. This one, I think I'm going to bring it out just a little bit further than I did right here. See how I went about halfway? This is about 3/4 in. Oh, so pretty. I love how it looks. Okay. And then how dark that line is. And then actually I might lighten that up a little bit just to do some, just a little bit, like right here. Ah, that was still kind of wet, so it kind of spread a little bit, but that's okay. That is totally okay. There we go. Oh, that is so pretty. I hope you guys are loving the pansies that you are creating because these are turning out so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to clean my brush. Now I kind of want to go in with some, I mean, I almost want to do, like, I know I need to darken up this bottom edge here. So I might go in with, I don't know. Let's go all in. Let's just use some, oh, that magenta rose is so pretty. All right, so I'm going to get some water in there. Kind of like how dark that is. I don't know. It's very dark though. Let me wing it. Because we can always make that orange. I don't know. Let's just do the edge of this one first. I'm just going to do the edge. We're going to paint the edge of this one. We're going to follow the line. Oh, so pretty. I'm going to follow that line to this edge right here for now. All right, let's do this edge too. Just to kind of give it some more definition. Like it kind of needs it. I'm going to do this edge. Oh, see how it just bled into that? That is so pretty. I'm not even touching it. I don't even care. It's really pretty. I'm trying to avoid the wet spots that are like still on the petals themselves, but I just want to give the petals a little more definition. Like, ooh, barely touched it and it kind of bled in there, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to outline this one a little bit more. Maybe up here. See how it blended in there? But you can always vacuum it up. Like I said, it's not a big deal. But sometimes it's nice to have, okay, that just went a little crazy. But I kind of like it. So I'm not mad about it. I want to do a little bit more right here. There we go. And then this side's still a little wet, so I'm going to avoid that. But I think I'm going to create kind of an orange for down here just to start getting that, like some darker value. That's really pretty. So I'm going to go in with that cad yellow and mix it with that magenta rose to make this deeper, more rich orange, more of a jewel tone. But I'm going to get some of that excess water off. And then this one I'm going to be a little bit more strategic with, meaning if this is wet, you're going to have to realize that water is going to spread, kind of like it did right here, right? The more dry it is, the more like control in a way you'll have as to where your little lines are going to be. In some areas, I don't mind it spreading. So like, for instance, if this was wet down here, it would probably spread the way I want it to. So maybe I should actually get that wet first. Oh, well, let's add a little bit more water. That's almost too much water. So I just want to make sure I leave some of that bright yellow right there, and I just avoid it. So I'm just going to kind of do some flicking motions up like this from the edge toward the center. As you guys can see, I'm like angling it towards the center of the flower, so it gives it some real form and dimension as you're doing this. And then from the center, I kind of want to flick downward and out. But when we're working from the edge, we're going to go up. Oh my gosh, this is actually turning out super cute. I really like it. Like I said, I can't wait to see how everybody's turns out. That's like my favorite part. It is. I love seeing how other people's pieces look when they're finished. Oh my gosh, you guys, isn't this so pretty? This is looking beautiful. And then just along the edge here, just to make it look smoother and softer, I'm making sure and kind of blending just the edge. So that way it gives it the soft look, not so rigid as we're creating it with, like we're doing right now. There we go. That is so pretty. Oh my gosh, I like it. Okay. Now on the edges of these, I want the magenta to be definitely more refined as magenta. So I'm going to clean my brush and then go in with that magenta. I'm sorry. Yeah, magenta rose. And I'm just gonna, it's not too dark, but it's just dark enough. Like I want like that. That's perfect. Like it's not too dark, but I want it darker. So I'm just gonna kind of go around the edge again with this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't stress, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just gonna kind of make some flicking motions toward the center here. And it's gonna mix a little bit with that yellow that we already put in there. That's totally fine. And I'm gonna go in with some of that orange and kind of, I don't even know, like just go along the edge where I just put that magenta, but not all the way to the edge. So it's like in between the yellow and that darker edge that we just created. But I'm gonna do the little flicking line motions that go toward the center. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty, you guys. I love how this is turning out. Oh my gosh. I can't. Oh my god, it's so pretty. All right, now I'm gonna do the left side. Oh, never mind, I gotta do the magenta first. So let me grab some more of that magenta to lightly darken up this edge a little bit. Oops. And if it mixes, that's totally fine because we're going to be mixing it anyway. So don't panic. Do not panic. Oh my gosh, if you guys know what movie that's from, you also had a little brother that watched that movie over and over and over. Okay, and I'm kind of lightly just like dragging it down a little bit. Oh my gosh, you guys, this looks so freaking pretty. I kind of want to darken that magenta that I have up here a tiny bit more. Oh, so pretty. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so pretty. I can't right now. Like, that is just. These colors, they get me every time, you guys. Every time. And then I kind of want to darken this edge up down here a little bit. Just a little bit. Same with down here. It needs a little bit more dark. Just a little bit. Oh my gosh, this is turning out so beautiful. Okay. Perfect. And then, yeah, I like that edge right there on that. And I'm trying to avoid just the edge right here, so that way it doesn't mix and blend on accident for that one. Very cool. And I'm going to darken up here just a tad more. And you can just touch it with the tip and it will kind of bleed and mix on its own. You don't have to like totally put the whole entire brush on there. All right, and then kind of want to darken just a little bit up here as well because I've already kind of darkened up some of the other areas. Just a tad, just to keep it so it's like looking cohesive. And a little bit up here. There, that's tying it in so much better. Okay, and then I also still have to do the orange on this side that we created right here with the CAD. Oh, let me clean my brush. With the CAD yellow, because we made quite the orange for the right side over here. So let me, ooh, look at what that yellow does to that magenta. It's so pretty. We are going to kind of just use the tip again and then kind of drag it toward the center. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. So pretty. And like I said, it's okay if it blends with like the magenta that we put on there. That's totally okay. And then I'm going to drag it kind of to the center like this. But I don't want to cover the whole thing with the orange. Like I really want that yellow to pop underneath. So that is pretty. And I'm going to kind of do a little bit more on this edge. A little bit more on that edge. Kind of just give it some lines that go to the center. Oh, I love it. That is so pretty. So, so pretty. Okay, let's see. All right, and then we're going to work on around the center now. I'm going to kind of define underneath of it like this, an upside down V. And then kind of just around the top of it a little bit. And then we're going to kind of define that circle on the bottom a little bit more. I think this area is still a little wet, so I'm not sure if I could. Oh, I was able to make like the little circle in the center. Okay, it was actually a lot drier than I thought. Perfect. Okay, so now before we go in and actually make like the veins, like make it look even more realistic, I'm going to kind of let this step dry, because the next, when you want to do the darkest colors and they're fine lines, you want this bone dry, so that way it doesn't do the like starburst effect and spread everywhere, because you'll be using just the tip of the brush. But see how by leaving those two spots completely white, it kept the lightest light value. I'm also trying to decide if I want to paint the background on this just to kind of help these pop forward, but I guess I might have to wait until I figure out what colors we're using on all of them that might make it pop the most, as far as like a specific green or anything like that. So let's see, what is, excuse me, I need a drink. I'm just trying to decide on the next colors. And I honestly think for just this one, we only used 2 colors, which would have been magenta rose. I gotta write them down. And then cad yellow. And then we mixed the 2. So turned out beautiful. So that was for the first flower. How about we do some like blue purples for the next one? Let's see. Just trying to decide if that's the color family I want to do. Because then we could always do like a purple yellow, like a really deep. I don't know. Or this one could be. Yeah, let's work on the top one. I think that might work out well, actually. I kind of want to do that. So maybe we'll do the lightest one up here with like the blues and the purples, and then like a really rich, vibrant, like yellow purple contrast for the middle. Oh, that would be cool. Okay. So might have to move this out of frame just a tad. Hopefully you guys can still see the palette. And since I'm going to be using different colors, I'm going to go ahead and clean this off so it's not mixing my colors. And what I love about watercolor too is that like once that your palette is dry and you want to come back to it later, you could just re-wet it I freaking love that because not all mediums do that. But I love how watercolor, it's like you don't have to worry about wasting it because you can literally just come back and reactivate it. So I don't know. It's one of the perks. I think it's cool. All right, let me start this next one. What did we say? We're doing the top one? Let's do the top one. I think we will start with, let's do blues and purples. What kind of blue do I want to use? I did not think this all the way through. I didn't have anything picked out as far as like colors, so this is all new. This one's more of a turquoise. The turquoise, I don't think I'm going to use that one because I don't want it to be turquoise per se, but a sea and sky blue. I think that'd be pretty. And then what for like a purple or a violet? Let's see. Try to see what other colors I got that would be like a lilac color would be cool, but I don't know if I have that in a tube. Okay, well, let's pull out the sky blue first. Or, I'm sorry, sea and sky is the color. Let's find that one. Is that it? Yes, sea and sky. That is a really pretty color. I'm excited to use that. I have not used it yet. So we're going to use that one. And then, gotta move my daughter's little figurines. She makes me these little foxes, and she makes it out of clay. This one we didn't bake it, and it's like, it's falling all over the place. Okay, so we figured out the blue we want to use. Now, which violet? I don't know that I have a vivid violet on my palette. There's Theo Indigo Violet, which is beautiful in its own right, but what about this mauve? Let's take a look-see and see if I like it. Actually, that might work. Okay, I like the mauve. Okay, so for this one, we will be using the sea and sky and mauve. Those actually look like they would work. Oh wow. Okay, so where am I going to put this? Because I don't want to keep it, I don't want to put too much out. I need to get some more of these pots to put my colors in. Well, I guess I will just put the tiniest little dot and see. Because you really don't need very much with watercolor. Like, barely anything goes such a long way. And I hate wasting things, so. Okay, that should be good. If I need more, I can put more out. All right, what did I do with my brush? Oh yeah, it's in the water. Cool. All right, well, let's get started with the blue. That is a really pretty, like, ice looking blue. I like it. Okay, remember, we're going to work light to dark, so we need to water it down as much as possible to start. And I might work more wet on wet with this one for now, just so that way I can kind of build it, do it a little differently than we did the first one. So that still is not quite watered down enough, but that's okay. We'll get it going. So I think I want to start with this petal. I'm going to go ahead and add this specific blue, but I'm going to try to avoid some of this center area. It doesn't need to go all the way. I'm going to do some flicking out motions, kind of go up to the top, go out to this edge, Drag it along this edge here. So it's going to be a lot of using the very, very tip of your brush at the same time on this one, on these watercolors, as it is like sideways blending, you know, with like the side of your brush. Okay. I'll get a little bit more on there. And then down, oh, whoa, almost went on the wrong one. On this one, I kind of want to keep the blue down to about here. I'm going to kind of mark it off so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And distance-wise on this one, I think I want to kind of keep it about that far away. We're just going to drag in that blue from the edge. Kind of drag it down. And kind of do the edges here, but still working toward the center with the fine, using the tip. But I had to make that line so that way I remembered, like, don't go past that, because that's where I want to add some of the greens and yellow, orangey colors for the more detailed look. I really like how you don't know how these are going to turn out. I think that's really fun. The element of surprise with watercolor can be intriguing. Okay, and then I need to bring this side over as well. I didn't finish that. Oops. And then I need to kind of stay within this area. I'm going to add a little bit more water that way. Kind of bringing it toward the center, but we got to leave some of this open. So if you guys can kind of see, hopefully, where that's at. And then I'm going to take a little bit darker and outline that edge a little bit. Outline this edge a little bit. I'm just going to kind of outline that edge a little bit. Bring in some more of that blue. Use just the edge. I'm just kind of darkening it up just a little bit. So each layer, you just get a little darker, a little darker. And kind of flick it toward the center with the tip. It's kind of fun to see how it gradually like gets darker too, like how it evolves as you're painting. And then this edge, I really want it to be darker. And around that edge. I just feel like it starts coming to life. It's so pretty. Okay, so now you guys can kind of see that definition line that I was going for. I also feel like this also kind of needs like a more darker blue toward the center, if that makes sense. Like a, I don't even know, like a Prussian blue maybe. So we might use a Prussian blue, but we still have to work with the lightest colors, lightest values first. So I don't want to overkill and go straight for that just yet, but we will get there to darkening up the center. And I know we have not introduced the violet yet, but we will. I promise you we will. Need a little bit more water. Let's see, we can flicking motions right there. Okay. And I really like that blue. I've never used this blue before, so I'm excited. It's actually looking really nice. Okay. Very cool. All right. I think we're getting close to start using some darker colors. We also need to introduce some violets. I kind of went crazy working on the blue. So let's go ahead and pull some mauve. That is a very pretty color. I think it's gonna go really well with that blue. Look at that combo. Very pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna do just the edge up here. And then I'm gonna start bringing that down into the blue. And maybe kind of across the edge as well. And then just kind of, again, more flicking motions down toward the center or up toward the edge. And then kind of mixing it in with the blue. It doesn't have to be like super separate and defined. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty. This kind of reminds me of Gumball, that show that my kids watch. I don't know why that just like popped in my head, but whatever. That's what it reminds me of. Ooh, I love how that blended on this one. Wow, that is pretty. Okay. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing on this one. Kind of straight lines. I just love how this has like a mind of its own too. Like you just never know. You don't always know how watercolor is going to turn out. So cool. I'm going to kind of radiate that out. That one kind of got a little chunky, but that's okay. I'm going to kind of darken up some of this violet that I've dropped in over here. And then I'm not going to do like a whole lot of the violet down on the bottom because I do want to use a lot of that dark blue that I'm thinking about pulling in. So I think that might be it for the purple or the mauve. Oh my gosh, I don't know if my husband's like weed eating out there, but that scared me. Let's check out this, yeah, the Prussian blue. See if, oh, that is like the perfect blue for the darks. Oof, I like that. All right, I'm gonna kind of just outline a little bit and see how I feel about that blue. Do I have a, I'm not sure that I have a phthalo. I could add a little bit of red to it, but we'll just kind of, ooh, look at that, that's so pretty. Oh, I don't know, I kind of like that. Kind of like that. Touch along the edge here, just kind of see, I don't know, the blue, it's very blue, but it's very pretty. Like I almost want to use that for the veins versus, I don't know. Let's mix it with some of this blue and see, kind of tone it down a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a little better. I toned it down just a tad with the sea and sky blue. And I'm gonna go ahead and add some more water to that. Yeah, that's a lot better. I'm gonna start with that because we need to work, like I said, light to dark. So we don't want to go too crazy, too dark, too fast. So by mixing those two, it definitely will help ease its way into that dark blue. Oh yeah, my husband's weed eating out there. I can hear the rocks hitting in the studio. Okay, that was a good transition color. Absolutely. We made the right decision, guys. Yay. Okay, so we're gonna just kind of do just the centers for now. We're still avoiding that like white area because I don't want to lose that white like around this part. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. I'm glad we did that. Let's go and add a little bit more blue. Just slowly start darkening that. And then we're just going to kind of touch the center right here and kind of flick out, but not like too much. Just enough to like get it to put like in the middle section. So just by touching it, it's getting it in there, but it's not like spreading it too far, if that makes sense. I'm trying to describe it the best I can. So just by touching it, see how it just kind of applies the pigment, just kind of sticks it there. So we're slowly getting darker and darker. That was very, very dark. Whoopsie. But we're working wet on wet, so it kind of helps. So this is a very, very blue. I want to kind of see what this does, but I'm just going to touch it. Oh yeah, that's cool. So that way you guys could see what I was talking about. Like just touching it applies it really well. And the more you drop in, the darker it'll be. So basically, I'm just going to kind of let that bleed, kind of flick it out just a tiny bit on that one. I don't necessarily want it to go out too much further on this one because I'm afraid I might lose the violet that we have in there, which isn't much. So we might let that dry for a second and maybe just go to finding a good like yellow and green to use in this like center area first. So I need to write down that other blue that we used, which was Prussian blue. That way I don't forget. Okay. So yeah, let's find. We do have a. That's not phthalo green. What is that? That is. I'm trying to figure out what color that is because that looks like an olive color. Yeah, that is not. I see. Olive green. Yeah, I was right. Sorry guys, I was trying to look at my sheet and I was trying to figure out like what color that was. This is a very pretty color. Okay, so I'm gonna do the yellow first because that's like the base color in the center. And then it starts turning orange and then green. So let's pull some of that cad, stick that right there. And then you're only gonna need barely any of that cad yellow. And this, we gotta make sure we don't touch anything else because it will bleed. So I'm going to try to do just this little tiny area right next to it. And it started to bleed. Bummer. I didn't wait long enough. I should have let it dry more. That's okay. So if you guys kind of see, I'm just doing the edge, just touching the paper, but it kind of bled in. But I can vacuum that out, so I'm not upset about it. I'll just dry my brush and then go just like that. And it sucks up the yellow. And then I think I kind of want to add a little bit of that yellow down on the bottom here. Just barely, like it's like you can barely even see it. That blue's like blending up. Guess I should wait for that to dry a little more before I go and do the center. Kind of like how we're waiting to do the fine lines on this one. Might just give it just a minute. Sometimes you gotta wait for dry times with watercolor. It just is what it is. You just kind of gotta work with it. Let's see. Yeah, that's still kind of wet. I want to get the green in there. The green is so pretty. Okay, what color did I use? That was cad yellow, so I'm going to be using olive green. I'm writing that down. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go for it. Sometimes I'm impatient. Whoop, that was a lot. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of follow this line up. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm not mad about it because I actually think that looks really cool. So I'm just gonna kind of leave that there before I go in and do like the orange down here. So I do have to let that dry. So we will come back to that one and do the orange and the lines, like the fine detail lines, after that has dried. I don't want to overdo it and like really mess it up. So let's let that one dry. Now we got to figure out what I want to do on this one, which I think we already did. We decided that, right? It was going to be like a dark purple and yes. Very pretty. Okay, so I think we're going to use possibly Theo Indigo Violet. I'm going to write these down so I don't forget. I think that's how you say it. Theo Indigo Violet. And then we need like a super rich purple. I do like, let's do Hansa Yellow this time because that is a brighter yellow. And then we can go in with, dang, that's like a really rich purple. Yeah, let me see what other purples I have that could be that dramatic, because that is very dramatic purple I have in mind. Oops. There's still rocks hitting the side. That's funny. Okay, so we're gonna use the Indigo Violet. I need something that's like very, very dark purple. What color is this? Oh, I think I just found it. Holy cow. Okay, so there's the Opus Pink, Royal Iris. Ooh, that's pretty. Look how dark that is. That might work. That might work. Okay. And that one was called Royal Iris. Okay. Let me clean my brush. And then, ooh, see how it's like drying and it kind of blended in there? It's so cool. Watercolor is amazing. All right, so I still like that green that I used up there. I kind of want to use it for the center right here. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna do it right now because it will dry quickly. That is such a pretty green. I love it. Okay. And then I can just do the yellow under that here in a little bit. Okay, so I guess now that I found the colors I'm going to be using, I probably should clean this off again. I don't want to mix, but I won't touch that blue that's in that corner because I already put it out. I don't want to completely destroy that. Okay, cool. All right, which one do I want to start with? Let's do the Royal Iris first. Let's water that down, that one heavily. Oof, see how dark that is? Goodness. Pretty, but dang. It's really dark. Okay, so we are going to barely make that like a visible purple to start with because that is very, very dark. I think I'm going to start from the bottom and go up, but I'm not going to be like super picky about how I'm laying it down. Just getting it down. is so pretty. Okay. And then I think I'm going to do kind of the same thing on up here, like all of them really, just to get the color going. But I really want this one to be dramatic, so hopefully it turns out as dramatic as I'm hoping. Right, and just do your best to avoid the two little spots right there, so that way it doesn't take away the brightest bright that you want to be there. Okay. And then up here, I think I'm going to be doing darker. That's probably where the Theo Indigo Violet is going to go. So, I mean, I guess it's a good base, though. We can go ahead and just add this up there, too. Let's just do it. Just do it, guys. And up here. Perfect. Okay. Now that we got our first kind of color wash down with that Royal Iris, I kind of want to let's just start pulling that Theo Indigo Violet. I believe that's what that is. Maybe. Let me double check. That is not it. Okay. Yeah, that's Theo Indigo Violet. Oh, look how pretty that is. Oh, goodness. That's a beautiful color. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna kind of, like, I know this is really, really dark, but I kind of want to, like, just get some of the edges going with this. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Wow. Wow. And just kind of go around the edge like that. And I'm going to follow this edge. And kind of just fan this out a little bit. I'm really loving where this is going. This color is so pretty. Goodness. Yep, I like it. Okay, I'm going to add some of that as well on this side. I'm going to border the edge of this one first, just to kind of get it established with that dark color. And then maybe do some, like, I'm using just the tip on this edge right here. And kind of bring it down just a tad right there. And maybe just along the edge right here. Yeah, that is pretty. That Theo Indigo Violet is something else. And then down here, okay, that's pretty dry. I kind of want to do like a center line like that, and then just kind of bring that color up slowly. There we go. Same with this part. Yes, that is pretty. Oh, I need to use this Phthalo Indigo more. This is a really pretty color. Okay, I'm gonna darken this up. I know that's like super dramatic. I don't know if you guys saw how dark that really got, but that was like, wow. I kind of want to do the top petals basically that dramatic, like I do. And we can go in and kind of vacuum out some of the color to give it some dimension. I gotta work slowly right there with the tip. I just don't want to touch the other side. And I forgot what I was saying. Touch the edge. That's okay. Wow, I just can't. This color is so pretty. Like, wow. Okay, so see what I mean? Like, I put the dark color down, but now I want to kind of vacuum up some of that to pull some of the color to kind of give it some form. Okay, I'm gonna clean it, dry it off real good again, just to see if I can pull it any more. Oh, just a little bit. That's not too bad. Okay, so you guys see how it lightened it up by vacuuming up or pulling some of the color? Super cool. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side over here. So I'm just gonna put in that dark Theo Indigo and try to avoid the edge there. And hopefully it won't mix with that green. Okay, whew. I was like, that green should be dry by now. And this is still fairly light because we're going to go in and be darkening this up quite a bit. Okay, so let me totally dry my brush again, and then just kind of pull some of that color from just the top. I'll dry that fully because it helps really give it some form. Oh my gosh, that looks so cool. Okay, now that was pretty dark, but now I gotta let that area dry some. So I think I'm gonna pull some of that Hansa yellow that I wanted to use for the center, but I kind of want to bring that down a little bit too, but I really need to water this down because it's a very bright yellow. Okay. So I'm not sure that that's even watered down enough. There we go. Okay. It was very, very bright. So we are going to do just kind of like the center. Oh, crumb, you can't see it. Probably can't see it on camera. There we go. So right under that green, I'm just going to kind of pull it down a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of flick it out from the center toward the purple. Because again, I kind of want this to peek through underneath. And same on this side. Pretty. And then this, I'm also going to bring down. I probably should do more flicking motions than anything. There we go. But I do want to have some areas that are more intense. So I got some more pigment of that Hansa yellow. And I'm just going to lightly touch that center. Maybe this little spot right here. Right here. And then I'm also going to do some flicking motions down here a little bit. And along this side. There we go. Just so that way it has some areas that are definitely like, you know, got that beautiful yellow. But it doesn't have to be everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to clean that off. And now that we kind of worked on some other areas, hopefully it's still kind of wet. I have to wait a minute. Oh, sorry if you guys. Sorry if you guys can hear. I'm weed eating. That is funny. Okay. This one's got a long ways to go, so kind of have to work in layers. You know what? I don't know. Hopefully the lighting is picking this up the way I want it to. Goodness. Ooh, I love the colors that are on the palette right there. The Theo Indigo Violet with, what was that? More of like a mauve and the yellow. And then the Royal Iris. Like those colors in that blue, they all kind of just, they look really pretty. So hopefully this is a good, I like the color palette that we're using. That's really pretty. But I do kind of like the idea of using a green for the background. Like you don't have to paint the background by any means. Like you do not. I just prefer to like, I don't know, like have them something to sit on. If that's like the best thing I can come up with at the moment. Like I like them to sit on something. Okay, let's see. Is this more dry? All right, so let's go back in with that Theo Indigo Violet, but we want it to be darker. So it's definitely gonna be a lot more rich. And this will be more targeted as far as where we're putting this dark of a color because we want to bring out some more shape and form. We're going to be using the dark against the lighter areas, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. All right, so we're going to make a sweeping up motion to the edge and kind of just use the very, very tip and give it some more like form. We definitely want to bring out the form in this. There we go. And then kind of want to do the same thing. I need to get that edge. That edge is bugging me. So I'm going to take it all the way down and kind of line this part. And I'm going to do the edge. To really make it pop. Wow, that really stands out. It's really pretty. Okay, so we're gonna do kind of the same thing with some of these other lines. Trying to decide if these lines should go in. I feel like they kind of go more in toward the center. And carry that down. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to outline it. There we go. That's pretty. And then I also kind of want to bring that same color down into some of these petals while we let the top area kind of dry, because I do want to go in and darken up like the lower sections. But if I do it right now, it's just going to mess with what we just laid down, because those are just kind of some guidelines to help with the form to start bringing it out. And I just don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to kind of mess up like what we were going for. So, I mean, down here, we could definitely like kind of bring bring it up a little bit, but like not too much just yet. Because once it starts getting darker and darker, you cannot go back. So I'm just going to be kind of careful not to overkill with what we're doing. Okay. So let's work on some of the edges down here. I'm going to go ahead and outline this with that Theo Indigo Violet again. There we go. And then just a little bit right here. Oh, must be lunchtime. I'm getting hungry. Oh. So this one definitely is taking a little bit longer, but you just got to be patient with watercolor. Like you really can't rush it because it doesn't turn out like you're hoping by doing that. Oh my gosh, I love these colors, you guys. I hope you are too, because these are so pretty. All right, so I kind of want to just blend in this Sayo Indigo with what we got over here. I do not want to completely cover up everything we put down, so we're going to keep it very light-handed, using just the tip and kind of just bringing this petal to life more. One value at a time. And then we're going to kind of darken up that little edge right there. Yes, looking good. Looking good. Cool. I love it. All right, we're going to do the same concept on the other side. So we're just going to be introducing darker values of that phthalo indigo violet. Sorry, phthalo violet. I don't know what I'm saying. And darken this area. And then just kind of drag some down into here. And trying to decide like how far I want that dark color to go. Because I think I want to add more of that, what purple was I using? The Royal Iris, I think, in here. So I don't want to overkill it with this beautiful phthalo indigo violet, because it is very, very pretty, and it's hard to like have a little bit more self-control with not going too far with it. So let's darken up this line that I created before. And underneath, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Dang, I like it. I'm slowly just getting it darker. Again, just a little bit at a time. But you can see like each layer, it just builds and builds and builds, and it's so pretty. Cannot get enough of this process. Watercolor is so therapeutic. But I guess it all depends on like your temperament. I mean, if you have the temperament and have patience to wait to let things dry, then yes, definitely watercolor can be therapeutic for you. For me personally, I like things fast. I like to be able to move through things very, very quickly. But sometimes I don't mind sitting down and kind of going with the flow, if that makes sense. Like sometimes, not all the time. Now I do want to try to mix a little bit of that phthalo indigo violet with some of the royal iris, just to kind of see what color it's going to come up with, because I can't talk, because I feel like blending that for up here might make it wait, that was the mauve. Where's the royal iris? Where did it go? Had to find it. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, so we're going to mix that. Ooh, that's pretty. With some of that phthalo indigo. Oh, wow. Oh, that's the color I was going for. Okay. Perfect. So we are going to introduce this up top, and I really love that color. Holy cow. Like, that is beautiful. Wow. I've never tried that combo, and I'm digging it. So we are going to darken up this top section with that. Wowza. That is incredible. And kind of just go along the lines that we already started, like darkening with. Wow. That is so pretty. I can't believe I've never done that combo before. What have I been thinking? Okay. That is absolutely stunning. I just love how these like come together the way that they do. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of just fan it outward, like upward and outward. And I'm using the tip, but kind of the side at the same time. So not like straight on, but just barely tilted. So it gets like fatter, pointier lines. If that makes any sense. Wow, that is so pretty. So we still want it to give some of the pointy look, but not like, I don't know, not too intense. Okay, so we're not going all the way to the top. We're not going to overkill it, which I almost did. But I also kind of want to bring this color down into here because this is just, wow. But I don't want to do like too much. I just want to do a little bit. So give a little bit more form. So just a tiny bit down along the edge here with that color. Wow, that's pretty. And I might darken up along this edge. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so pretty. Definitely turning out like I was hoping. All right, so I'm going to take some of this Royal Iris and I'm going to really water it down. Because like I said, I do want to use this in some areas, but I kind of should probably let that dry just a little bit more. The yellow is dry, so I can go in with some of this, oh my gosh, the Royal Iris and kind of pull it toward the yellow carefully. Not to destroy it, but kind of tie it all together. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. And then I'm also going to go from like kind of the center out a little bit, but I'm not going to completely cover that yellow that we got in that middle section. I want to get this up here without blending it with any of those other colors. But we don't want to lose that yellow. So try not to cover that yellow in that middle section. And just kind of blending it in. I'm going to keep the yellow that's there. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Kind of go up along the edge here. So we're not going to, we got to keep this area yellow above, like under that green. So I'm going to take some of this really dark, not like super, super dark, but the next level of dark with that Royal Iris. I'm going to go ahead and start fanning down just a little bit, just to kind of start getting that next level. I know that section was still a little wet down there, but that's okay. Don't worry. We'll let it dry and then we'll... Ooh, look at that, you guys. So pretty. We're just introducing the next dark. So sometimes you can just, like we did before, just kind of tap it in, because we're just introducing it. That's all. That's all we're doing. And since that area is already kind of wet, it's going to help it along. All right, so what is next? Wow, these are turning out very nice. So I think I'm going to get that darker, the Royal Iris. Oops, just kind of got that everywhere. That is very pretty. Okay, so see how dark that is? I mean, that's almost black. That's probably how dark it's registering on the computer. So let me add a little bit of water to that. This is going to be extremely dark. So I'm just going to touch the inside like that. That's all I'm doing. And I'm just going to kind of tap where I have some fine lines. I'm using just the tip to introduce this very, very rich, deep, dark purple. And you can use some of the flicking motions if you need to go back and kind of mimic some of those lines that we just did. Holy moly, that is pretty. And then just touching it right here, see what happens. Just kind of let it do its thing, because it's still kind of wet. So I do not want to take it too far, if that makes sense. Because I still want to add some very, like the veins to it, but I don't want to overkill. So I have to kind of wait. Like some areas are dry, so you can kind of add some of those veins, but like down here is still too wet. I can't do that. Like right here, I could probably add a vein. Here's dry. There's dry. And the more you do this, the more you'll get a feel of like where areas are dry. Sometimes you'll be completely wrong, and that's okay. Because we've all been there. Okay. Now up here, I kind of want to add more of that phthalo violet. Oh my gosh, phthalo indigo violet. I love that we're like super close. We're super close to being done, guys. It's basically down to like almost the final details, if that makes sense. I need this to be much, much more jewel toned, like very, oh, that's so pretty. Okay. I don't know why. I just need it to be more of that red. Well, not red, but you know what I mean. The phthalo indigo violet, it's definitely more red than purple. So that's why I said that. There we go. I just feel like it needed more of that to really differentiate between the like grape purple. You know what I'm saying? Yes, pretty. And then kind of bring it down here a little bit too. Watercolor is so pretty. So rad. Okay. Darken this one. Wow. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. So I think we're going to let that sit for a little bit before we go in and do like the very, very last of the detail. So now this one should be dry enough that we can go ahead and do the details on it. And I think for, what did we use for that one? Magenta Rose. I think we'll use the Magenta Rose in its darkest form, good lord. Darkest value. And do the fine lines on here. So barely any water, mostly pigment, right? And kind of tap it off to make sure there's no excess water. And then we're going to use just the very, very tip of this brush. So if you happen to have like a much finer brush, which the ones that come in the kit, guys, will be pretty fine. Like you'll be able to get some really nice lines with those brushes. I love those brushes. Whereas this one's, the one I'm currently using is a little fatter. But having a super fine brush like you guys will have will give you those lines that we're looking for very, very well. So this, I'm barely touching this. And I'm doing practice strokes before I actually lay down that stroke and touch the paper. Okay, so please use the scratch paper. I promise you it will help immensely in this process while you're learning to do this. And sometimes my lines are just super fat and I just, have a really heavy hand. Like that one. Okay, I try my best not to go so crazy, but this brush is definitely a little big. I could have used the skinnier one, but that's okay. At least you guys get the gist. Just takes practice, very, very light hand, but now we're doing the final details, you guys. This is very exciting. And then we're just putting the veins on, literally, that's all we're doing. It's putting the veins that are on the flowers. It's like the final detail. And let's see. And these ones sometimes look a little more scratchy. I don't know if you can see, where these look more like veins that you'd see on a leaf. Sometimes the side ones have more of a textured, scratchy look. I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm like, look to them. So I'm kind of doing like this motion, around it a little bit on the side. That's how I got that look, if you were wondering. And then let's add a little bit more water and pick up more pigment. Oh, that's such a pretty color. Holy cow. Dab it off a little bit so it's not so dark. Some of my lines are a little thick. Don't be like me. And then, like I said, you can always go back through and darken it up more each time. If some lines just aren't cutting it for you and you want them darker, go back in and do it again. There's nothing wrong with that. I do want to kind of darken this edge up here on this petal because it's kind of not giving very much form. There we go. Kind of looked like it was all in the same, it was flat. That makes sense. It kind of looked flat. I'm not sure what that sound was, but it was loud. And then I'm just going to do a little bit up here. Wow, that looks so pretty. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see yours. Make sure you guys tag me on Instagram too when you're done with yours because I want to see it. I think it's 208 Amanda_Martinez. Pretty sure that's my handle on Instagram. But I cannot wait to see it. Everybody does the coolest pieces because everyone's different. Okay, I like that. It looks good. We're gonna kind of separate this petal from that petal a little bit more. All right, so we got the veins on that one. I think that's all we had to do with this one, yeah. These are so fun. Okay, so the next one we're going to go back and work on would be the blue one, because that was what we were using. And then this one, I think we decided on that Prussian blue, which I'm pretty sure, yeah. Pretty sure that's what we were doing. We're going to add that. We're not going to add too much water because we want it to be pretty dark. But we want to get some of those veins in. And I know I needed to define this area a little more. So hopefully you guys can see that. But I'm going to kind of do the edge as well. Just to kind of bring it out more. And then we can do some veins. And you can always do some like purple veins first and then go in and do some of the blue veins so that it like darkens up as you go. So you can totally work in stages. Darken up this edge just a little bit so that way it kind of breaks up the form of each petal. Some more on there. And then okay, I'm going to do the other one. Actually, I want that a little darker. Okay, too much water. So I'm just using the end of it to kind of bring out some of those veins. I kind of feel like I should have darkened up this section a little bit more. I'm not sure why, but like it's just not, there we go. It's just not dark enough. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing right here. And along that edge. And then darken up some of the veins down here. That edge, that edge. And then I do need to put some of that orange in here. So I gotta kind of let that dry though before I go any further with that one. I kind of want to add some more of that blue that I was working with right here. Kind of blend it. There we go. It was just looking a little funky. Okay, so what do we do? We did the detail lines right here. The only thing I gotta add in this one is some orange, which I guess I could go ahead and do. Just add some of that cad yellow with some of the magenta. And I could probably just drop that in there like so. Kind of flick it up on the edges right there. That's pretty. Maybe introduce just a couple little dots of it right here along the blue. And maybe right there. That way it's like in the center. That actually works pretty good. Very pretty. Okay, and then for the details on like the royal purpley iris one. And honestly, this one pretty much looks done, but it's not. It's not. We're going to go back in with that royal iris. And we're going to really use the very tip. As long as I can keep a steady hand. And we are going to drag that up into center. Oh my gosh, is that not gorgeous, you guys? I cannot. So pretty. Wow. That royal iris was like the perfect color. Wow. I don't know. Which one's your favorite, you guys? Like, this is a toss up for me. Like, I like this one, but I like this one too. But I love how many layers of color and just vibrancy this one holds. Like, it just feels so rich with the color. I don't know. Can't tell which one I like the most. It's kind of hard to pick. I love how rich that purple is. I don't know, I'd say probably the middle one. I think the middle one's my favorite. This was so much fun, you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. And like I said, you can totally paint leaves on here, like behind the flowers. You could, oh, I need a drink. Hold on. You could do just one solid color for background. Or if you happen to have like the metallic paints, oh my gosh, I freaking love those. I don't know if they make those in tubes or not. I do need to look that up. But I have used like these little tiny, I actually have some big ones somewhere too. I have a lot of these now that I think about it. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, I have tons of them over here. Can you tell I haven't used my paints in a while? Goodness. Oh, that's where those went. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Okay, so you can get like ones from like Hobby Lobby too. But ooh, I forgot I had these. The opal colors. Oh, those are pretty. And then there's like this one, I think came from Hobby Lobby. You can use these to just add like some cool shapes if you wanted, like Art Deco shapes in the background or something. There's the samurai colors. Those are cool too. The granulation colors are one of my favorites. I think I've done a few videos with those. Then you got like, I think this one was from Hobby Lobby, but it has like different metallic colors in this one too. Yeah, and there's like a little brush in there. So yeah, there's tons of options. Like if you guys want to do like cool shapes behind these with metallics, you could do that. I just don't know if they make the metallics in an actual like tube where I could, you know, incorporate it in the kit, or if I could just reconstitute it and put it on the paper. I don't know. I'll think about it. We'll try to figure it out. But I love this one. It has like the pinks and kind of purpley colors. This one has kind of like a rainbow. And these are more, I think, pastel. But yeah, that might be kind of fun. So like I said, you can do the background if you want to. You don't have to. But I kind of like how this is just popping on camera without putting anything on the back. But make sure you guys sign your piece. Like you could do it like right here, or you could always sign it on the back. When I'm making my mock-up for things, I always date it and sign it. And I have this little stamp that I got offline. It's just like a little date stamp. So I stamp it on the back and I sign it. And I use a fine line pen. But yeah. But thank you guys so much, so much for painting along with me. I hope you had a good time. I hope you were not harsh with yourself. I hope you were patient. Because yes, I know sometimes it's stressful, especially when you think you've messed up. But I've walked away from paintings, come back 3 days later and was like, oh my gosh, I painted that. That's incredible. Like, why did I think it looked bad? Like, don't beat yourself up. I know right now sometimes when you look at things like this and you're like, oh, I didn't do a good job. It looks dumb. You know, like you just, I don't know. But walk away. When you're done, walk away for a little bit. If you're having that mindset, come back to it. And I promise you, you will see it through a whole nother lens and you will be very proud of yourself. So just be patient with yourself, be kind, and I'm excited to like see how everyone's turns out. So definitely tag me on Instagram. And I guess I will see you on the next one. Thank you guys.